driving Tobin Anderson, the head coach of Iona University, to the airport after his presentation at the clinic. And Tobin is a salt-of-the-earth guy. One of the most famous coaches in college basketball now after his team beat Purdue University when he was the coach at Fairleigh Dickinson. Now he finds himself following the legendary coach Rick Pitino at Iona University. And I thought he might share some big-time stories about meeting some big-time people. But he said this. He said, Mike, this was one of the most impressive clinics that I've ever been to.
That's cool.
And he goes, and he said this, Dan, he said, you know what? One of the great mentors I had in this game was from right here in the state of Michigan, a guy by the name of Coach Bernie Holowicki. And of course, I knew Coach Holowicki.
Oh,
and we shared a few stories.
Yeah.
And he said, I met Coach Holowicki at 5-Star. And he was one of those guys where when you got into his circle, everybody just felt a little bit better. And coaches like Dean Smith, Roy Williams, coaches from all over the country were drawn to him. And it got me thinking about the impact that coaches can have, not just on their players, which we all know we can impact our players and our schools and our communities, but on this great game too, and on other coaches. Here is a Michigan legend that has nationwide impact. And so that kind of got my curiosity going. And I started thinking about the career of Coach Holowicki. He coached at St. Hedwig, coached at St. Gregory, and most famously coached a long, distinguished career at Catholic Central, now Novi Catholic Central, then Detroit Catholic Central, and Redford Catholic Central. And I called one of his he also actually was a coach at Madonna University too.
This career, right?
Where he, just continued to build a great program. And I talked to the current head coach at Madonna who played for Coach Holowicki, Noel Emmenheiser. I said, Coach, tell me a little bit about Coach Holowicki. And you could just feel him light up when, he heard that name. Of course, he said, Mike, there's never been somebody who's had a bigger impact when it comes to the game of basketball. He said Coach Holowicki had this art of seeing something great in people, and then he had the skill set to draw that out in them. And I thought that was so well put. And from that, he just told stories after stories. And one of the ones that struck, he said, Mike, do you know that Dean Smith actually asked him to be on his staff at North Carolina? And when I asked Coach Holowicki, why didn't you go to North Carolina? And he said, I have the dream job right here. I'm a high school basketball coach.
I did not know that. Wow.
And incidentally, the person that did take the job that Coach Holowicki turned down was a guy by the name of Roy Williams. So he had a pretty good career, at North Carolina and then Kansas and then back at North Carolina.
You think?
So just imagine if he would have said yes. But the impact that Coach Holowicki had here at Catholic Central and at Madonna, I just think is something I wanted to highlight and encourage all coaches to. You might say, wow, that job at North Carolina or that job at Duke or that job at Michigan State, I wish I could coach there. Where you might be coaching your dream job right now, just like Coach Holowicki was. And Coach Young, I know that you have had a relationship with Coach Holowicki at 5-Star and through your community network, and obviously being the BCAM executive director. Could you just tell us a little bit about what you thought of Bernie and his impact on the game?
So my first coaching job, I coached at Brighton for 1 year, and then I got a teaching job in Plymouth Canton, and I got the Canton boys basketball job. And Coach Holowicki was not coaching at Catholic Central anymore, and I don't even know how I met him, but we hit it off right from the get-go. We hit it off like anyone who's met and been around Coach Holowicki. So I said, I'd love to go to 5-star with you. So we got in the car and with a couple other coaches, and we drove to 5-star. And that's how I met Tobin Anderson. Is Tobin was drawn to Bernie as well. And it was just, and now to look full circle to him coming and speaking at our clinic and you getting in the car and driving to the airport and him bringing up Bernie and all the things that all the impact he had. And then talking to Noel was one of his first recruits out of Indiana to Madonna, who's now the head coach at Madonna. This coaching profession is powerful, and it's of the same type of people that are trying to help others. And we talk about Keith Guy. He tries to help. He's involved. He is trying to make the game better. He builds relationships. And you talk about people like Bernie Holowicki, who won 612 games in his high school career and then coached in college and was a 5-star legend. Yeah. Station 13 is only certain people get Station 13, and it's a 5-star honor to coach Station 13. Bernie coached Station 13. And it's just, I love to hear stories about, I did not know about Dean Smith asking him to be on his staff,
that?
And he turned it down because he loved Catholic Central.
Coach.
Yeah, he loved being at Catholic Central.
Yeah.
Coach Holowicki,
he's a BCAM Hall of Famer.
Oh yeah,
the court's named after him at Catholic Central.
Yeah.
So here's my encouragement for all our listeners and all our BCAM coaches: get to know Noel Emmenheiser, the head basketball coach at Madonna University, the athletic director there as well. He is an exemplar. One of the things that Coach Holowicki was famous for, one of many famous things, is he ran an incredible basketball camp. I mean, his camps were statewide known. Kids from all over would go and attend.
Right.
And coaches would go and watch just how he organized them.
Mm-hmm.
Coach Holowicki was a phys ed teacher, an elementary teacher, and knew a lot of fun games. He was ahead of the game, too. He knew a lot about building delayed gratification and a growth mindset in kids way before the research out there of Carol Dweck and mindset now. Coach Holowicki was doing it in the 70s and 80s.
You're right.
And Coach Emmenheiser runs that blueprint. I mean, he runs it to a T. He has one of the great camps around. Get to know his program. I've been to his practice. He's been a panelist in some of our programs for recruiting. He is not only a great coach, but a salt-of-the-earth guy who learned from a legend and is becoming one of his own as he continues to do great things at Madonna. So coaches, get to know Noel, get to know his program. At the very least, go see what he's doing at those camps because they're unbelievable.
I know. They're I mean, Coach Holowicki just puts a smile. It's just thinking about him puts a smile on my face. It really